Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 1st of October. Now, last week we were looking for trading opportunities short on Kiwi dollar. We were looking for long opportunities on Great British Pound against the yen and long opportunities on platinum. So let's go and take a look at these markets, see how they fared and what sort of opportunities we're looking for this week. Now, if we come and have a look at Kiwi dollar first of all, the idea last week was that we're looking for the 67 level here. If I open this up on the weekly, the 67 level here to hold, and we're looking for this weekly trend here to prevail. So last week that worked out nicely and the market continued to roll over. This week we're still looking short here on Kiwi dollar, and in fact, a break below the last week's low here could be rather nice for a continuation of the move down towards these sort of old lows. If I come down to the lower time frames here, you'll start to see the sort of opportunities that I'm looking at. Now, last week's low was this sort of like spike low here. It actually sort of came into this sort of like 66,000 level and just bounced off it. We're in a downtrend here on the 4-hour time frame. So again, a break below 66,000 just gives us a confirmation that we've broken through last week's low and through this previous midterm structure level here on the 4-hour time frame, and it could open the doors for a continuation of the move down to, well, the next support structure, which is down here around sort of 65,400. So that's quite a reasonable size window of opportunity here on Kiwi dollar. So still liking this one short. Fancy opportunities just underneath the low here at 66,000. The next one that we looked at last week was Great British Pound against the yen. So if we come and have a look at this one. Now, what we were looking for last week here was we're looking for the market to find support at 147. And we're looking for long prices up towards 150. As you can see, this is sort of pretty much playing out nicely. The market sort of found a bit of support, a bit of resistance here at 149. It started to put in a higher low here. So, last week worked out nicely. This week, what I'm looking for is a break above 149, and between 149 and 150. There's not a lot in the way. So I'm looking for opportunities between 149 and 150, then above 150 up towards the sort of 152 level up here too. So still looking for long opportunities here on Great British Pound against the yen. Now, the third one that we looked at last week was platinum, and we're looking for platinum long, possibly up here towards this sort of 850 level. If I open this up here on the weekly chart. So we're looking for, at the start of the week last week, this was very strong, and I was looking for continuation up here towards sort of 150, but that was really the line in the sand, because this is sort of previous support and resistance and in the context of a downtrend. In fact, this market here didn't sort of pick up any continued momentum, and now this has started to roll over and it's looking more attractive to the short side. This becomes a little bit more clearer when we come down to the 4-hour time frame. So if we come and have a look at the 4-hour, we can see that last week we were looking at the market sort of finding support here just underneath this sort of, well, around this sort of 826 level. We're looking for the market to find support here and for the market to continue. But what happened was the market put in lower highs, continued to test this level, and eventually broke that level. Now that it's broken it, it's now put in a downtrend, and now we've got a downtrend forming here on these sort of lower time frames with convergence on the short side. So again, continuation of this trend is what I'm looking for. At the moment, we've got a little bit of midterm support and resistance here on the 4-hour time frame. That's around 815, as we can see. So underneath 815, we've pretty much got a sort of a decent window of opportunity in this market, possibly on the midterm down to around sort of like the 800 level. Below that, we've got the next sort of window of opportunity down here towards that sort of 780 level. So quite a sort of decent size sort of windows of opportunity underneath price action. So just waiting for the for this downtrend to continue. Of course, if we come to the sort of higher time frames again here on the weekly, we can see that the market is just again putting in a topping formation here for the weekly chart. So if the weekly chart continues, the trend continues here on the weekly, that's going to sort of facilitate these lower time frame moves as well. This week, on top of platinum looking short, I also like gold looking short as well. So if we come and have a look at gold, we can see that this on the weekly chart, again, very similar. You know, it's put in a lower high. We're now sort of getting a break to the short side. That's sort of married up with convergence to the short side too. And we've probably got sort of like you know, a good move down here towards these old lows, which is the sort of thing that we could start to look for. So there's still reasonable distance to the short side on gold. Now, one of the other markets that I'm keeping a close eye on this week here is euro against the Kiwi. And if we think about the strength of the Kiwi, the strength of the US dollar at the moment, the US dollar is strong. The Kiwi has been a little bit weak here. And even if we go back to the Kiwi dollar, if that Kiwi dollar market continues to play out as expected and continues short, then that's going to put sort of pressure here on any Kiwi strength. If we have a look at this market here on the weekly chart, we can see that we've got a pretty well structured, or the start of a pretty well structured trend here. And the market's just pulled back into key support in the context of a very well defined trend with good market geometry. So again, if we start to find support around here, then we could start to look for clean opportunities up towards sort of like 180 and maybe beyond. Now, one thing that I'm looking for here to see whether the market's got the strength here to continue is when we come down to the 4-hour chart, we can see on the 4-hour, we've got a trend that's in completely the opposite direction. This is in a downtrend. The market's just pulled back to a structure level here. And that's just, you know, if we think about that, this is now sort of sitting at that point on that weekly chart. So the weekly low is at 175, just underneath the previous low here in this chart. So for that weekly trend to continue, this 4-hour trend has got to break, and that means that this level here has got to break. The market's got to move up, and we've got to start to see a formation of a new uptrend here. So for looking for that confirmation to happen, I'm looking to see whether the market here can break this level, pull back, find a bit of support, and then start to look for long opportunities again. And then we've got quite a distance to the long side for this to potentially move. So I think Euro Kiwi is at a key decision point at this moment in time. It's a sort of short trend in lower time frames. It's long trend on the macro time frames. For me, I'm sort of letting the market decide what it's going to do, and then sort of trade that market sort of accordingly. But I prefer this from a macro perspective to the long side. So there's a few markets that I'm keeping a close eye on here in the trading room this week. I certainly hope it helps and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.